Hey guys, welcome back. This is the 8th installment of who knows how many Q&A videos, and I'm going to try to answer a few more questions this time. Last time I ended up spending the entire 12 minutes on one, so let's see if we can move along. Got a lot of questions left. Starting to get a little late, so we'll see what happens. Seth Amos asks, were you extremely strong when you started for a beginner, and how long did it take you to hit a 600-pound deadlift? I wasn't, but there was also the factor that I was also really young. When I started lifting weights, I was 10 years old, and I was not focused on powerlifting. I was focused on just exercise and fitness, and really liked that kind of thing, and wanted to get stronger. I think my first 600-pound deadlift was, I want to say my sophomore or my junior year of high school, with a single-ply deadlifting suit and a lot of focused work and attention on that. I think it took me a while after that. I don't remember when I hit the first raw 600. I don't know if I have a record of that for myself. I don't believe it was until after high school, though. I'm not completely sure. I would need to fact check that, and I don't have time to do it. So, answers: I got pretty strong after a period of like 7 or 8 years. And a lot of people mistake that for having been strong the entire time, but when most other people were beginners, I had been working out for a long time already in the scope of things, and now I'm 24 and I've been working out for over half of my life, so there's that. Mehar Bhogal, why don't you compete in a legitimate federation such as the IPF and go to Worlds? I actually made a video about this topic, and it ran for about 15 minutes, and then the file corrupted when I tried to post it. So I'm going to try to condense all of that into the next maybe 2 or 3 minutes. There are a few different reasons. I don't have anything against the IPF itself. Number one right now is financially. Going to those meets is pretty expensive for me, and most of the meets I do are local, and I get a little bit of help from either the meet directors or from, I don't have to travel very far. I don't have to spend money on expensive hotel, things like that, and I can drive home the same night, and so I don't have to spend money on food at these other places. And I've had some bad experiences with the USAPL. Just in general, I don't even want to go into the story because it does frustrate me some. Long story short, after a meet that did not go the way I wanted it to, I still managed to break an American record. There were some miscommunications that happened, and I was attacked on a public forum for my character and some things by a group of people that are still very prolific in the local chapters, and I don't even want to get mixed into that right now. So as long as that's happening, I don't really feel like I can compete fairly in such a politically torrential state where it's just at right now. Like, not state the place, I guess it does apply to the location, but the state of things here, I feel like I would be unfairly just kind of sorted out, because I didn't feel very welcomed in my first experience in general, because I was not a brand new beginner into it, and I felt like they were trying to teach me a lesson for coming from another federation. Just with the way that I was treated by most of the people there, and then especially after the fact when people were calling me some pretty harsh names, and I wasn't given an appropriate platform to defend myself, and that's just not appealing to me. In the future, I will be we'll be looking forward to finding some USAPL meets maybe when I'm more financially stable and that's more of an option, and it's more priority in my life. Again, I don't really compete to win at this point. I compete to better myself, and I know that's not what a lot of people are kind of shifting their focus to. There's been a movement now back to winning, and I think there's validity in that, but personally, it doesn't do anything for me. I can't control what other people are doing. I can't control the legitimacy of how people view my lifting versus someone else's lifting, and so even if I was to go somewhere, who's to say that people wouldn't start to say other things? I just need to lift to the standards that I have for myself and live with those. I've made steps, and I've taken steps to improve my lifting to make it more universally acceptable, but that's for me, that's not for other people, and I don't care about the size of the stage or the level of the competition. It won't affect me. I can't, I won't become stronger because I'm competing against other people. I will become stronger because I work harder and become stronger. There's no other way around that. I don't have another way to do it. So I guess that's my answer for that. Also, I think it's really dismissive to just pull all other federations aside. I mean, by saying that if you don't compete in the IPF, it's not a legitimate federation, that's kind of a slap in the face of, I don't know, Andre Melanchev now, Dan Green, Eric Lillybridge, Brandon Lilly, Mark Bell, all these guys who don't compete in the USAPL or the IPF. And I understand the whole drug testing thing, but I mean, you have to really consider what the word legitimate really means, and I think that's something to consider. So we should never be dismissive of someone else's form of competition just because it doesn't match our standards. Who's to say that legitimate is keeping your feet flat on a bench press when all the people in the IPF are wearing Olympic shoes so that their heels can be off the ground but their foot's still flat? Or the idea that they can't move their head off the bench. Is that really helping you enough? Is that the level of legitimacy? What's more legitimate in that when they're not using knee wraps but they're using the new SBD knee sleeves that give you way more assistance in your squat, and every competitor is wearing them than were the Ray-Bans and the things before. So all these records are falling, but people have new equipment, but they still point and say wrapping your knees is cheating and doing this is cheating, or 24-hour weigh-ins is cheating. But that's a skill in and of itself, and what's to say it's not a legitimate skill that people can get good at? Because you change your focus and pursue the most advantageous positions for whatever the rule set that you're presented with. And so that's why IPF lifters wear the Olympic shoes when they're benching flat-footed, so they don't have to be completely flat-footed. And that's the same thing as someone who has a 24-hour weigh-in who pursues the most efficient way to use that rule and stay within the guidelines of that rule. And just because you don't agree with it, and just because it's not the way that you think is the most legitimate, does not decrease its legitimacy across the board as long as it's consistent within the realm of that competition. So that's my opinion on all of that, and you can take it or leave it. That's just really where I stand on it. And I'm sorry if it comes off as harsh or abrasive, but powerlifting will never be unified if everybody is taking shots from one side or the other. If people are saying, well, they're too strict, and they're saying, well, they're not strict enough. There's got to be some sort of middle ground, and there is no way to say which one is actually correct, because it is all subjective. And the only way it's going to work is if people become more accepting of each other and stop breaking off and forming these harsh just lines in this, not even in the sand, in the cement brick walls they build up between each other, where there's no real effective communication or mutual respect where it should be given. Just in my opinion, it's all your own journey. You have to make those decisions yourself. Wow, I got a little tangential on that. I apologize. Derrick Giese, favorite assistance exercise for the big three. I talked about this before. I think it depends on your weaknesses and the direct transfer to it. So I don't have favorite exercises. My favorite assistance exercises are the squat, the bench, and the deadlift. And wherever I'm weakest, I put those in. Most of the time, it's whatever I am the absolute worst at is what's going to get put in that slot, because that's the biggest weakness that I can really fix and will probably have the greatest carryover to my total. So that's how I plan all that out. Janusz Kania, do you find anything specifically to help you recover from very high volume training that you do? You just have to be more on top of everything. You have to be way ahead of the game when it comes to knowing your body and what you're going to need for the next day. If that means, you know, your sleep needs to be there, you need to know how much sleep you need to perform and pursue that amount of sleep. You need to have an idea of your nutritional requirements to perform well, and you have to stay within those boundaries in that realm and put focused attention into it. You need to know how much mobility work or stretching you can do or you cannot do and get away with to be able to do that. And you also have to understand that there's going to be times when you go to the gym where you're not going to feel 100%, especially when you're doing high volume training or high frequency training. A lot of the time you're going to go and you're going to feel sore a little bit, or you're going to feel like, I just deadlifted 2 days ago, how am I supposed to squat today? And you just make it happen. It's you condition yourself for it. You start light, you start with this understanding that you're not quite where you want to be, but you keep working at it and keep adding to it and develop those skills just like anything else. You're developing these 3 lifts, you're developing anything in your life for this, but you progress from a spot of not being as good at it to getting better at it, and that's the only way that you can really guarantee the continued progression and success. So that's my time for this one. Thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, found it informative or helpful. I hope no one took personal offense to any of the things I said, but if you did, I apologize for that offense, but not for the things I said. I hope you have a great rest of your night, and I will catch up to you guys in the next installment of this Q&A. Thanks again. Bye.